Hi, welcome to this short presentation on the individual and situational explanations debate, and this is for the OCR A Level Psychology specification. So the definition of the individual and situational explanations debate is that it discusses whether behaviour is because of factors internal to an individual, e.g. their personality, or because of the circumstances, the situation in which they find themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some links to the course studies, and my go-to study for this debate is always Milgram. I think it's pretty obvious and it's a good example to use in an exam. So it was clear from their comments that the participants did not want to go all the way to 450 volts on the shock generator, but 65% of the 40 participants did. And they did this because the situation influenced their behaviour. For example, the prods from the experimenter may have made them feel forced to stay in the experiment. So perhaps that's why they went all the way up to the 450 volts, despite their wishes. However, saying that, 35% of the 40 participants were able to resist the power of the situation, and they walked away before administering the 450 volt shock level. And this illustrates how individual factors, such as personality, can influence behaviour, thereby demonstrating the individual side of the debate. So 35% of the participants did withdraw from the study, despite the experimenter giving the participants his prods, and so it just shows how some people were actually able to withdraw themselves. Another study is Bocchiaro et al. 2012, and this is quite similar to Milgram. It's a study on obedience, if you don't already know. But 76.5% of the participants complied with the researcher's request to write a letter in support of the sensory deprivation study, suggesting that the situation in which people find themselves can lead them to be more obedient. However, not everyone was affected by the situation in the same way, as 23.5% of the participants were either disobedient or a whistleblower. This suggests that there are individual factors that allow some people to resist the power of a situation. What is different about this study is it actually provided the participants with a chance to whistleblow, and all they had to do was, I think it was like check a box on a research committee form and just put it in a box, but a lot of people decided not to do this, and as you can see, 76.5% went ahead with it. So another one is Levine et al., and this was conducted in 2001 and is a study on helping behaviour. And given the extent to which levels of helping were found to vary in different cities around the world, the study by Levine et al. Would appear to suggest that culture is one aspect of the situation that can influence the chances of people engaging in helping behaviour. For example, those cultures which had more values of simpatico or simpatia were more likely to give help. As the levels of helping behaviour were generally highest in the scenario involving the blind person, there is something about this situation that makes people more likely to help, thus giving an explanation for the situational side of the debate. Simon and Chabris 1999. The overall level of inattentional blindness recorded in Simon and Chabris' study was 46%. This meant that more than one half of the participants noticed the unexpected event and did not experience inattentional blindness. This suggests that there are individual differences in attention, which mean that people with certain qualities are more likely to notice the unexpected event. This study also showed how features of the situation could affect inattentional blindness. For example, by making the unexpected event similar to the attended event, e.g. having a black gorilla in the black team condition, the participants noticed the unexpected event more often. And this was 58% versus 27% for this specific condition, thereby showing how the situation can impact inattentional processes. Cheney et al. 2004. This study looked clearly at the role of the situation in determining behaviour. It is the features of the inhaler which influence the frequency and success of its use. The features also, according to Cheney et al.'s data, influence the attitude of the children and parents towards the inhaler. Since their attitudes towards the inhaler changed between using the standard Brevitec inhaler and the Funhaler, the situation can be said to have impacted their behaviour. For example, the percentage of children achieving 4 or more breaths per cycle, per delivery, increased by 30%. However, the differences in attitude of the parents and their children before and after the use of the Funhaler show how individual differences can influence behaviour, with some children having a phobia of their inhaler, whilst others taking pleasure while using it. Lee et al. 1997. Kohlberg has suggested that moral development is something that is innate, but Lee et al.'s research shows that the situation or culture that a child is brought up in will significantly change their moral thinking. This suggests that levels of pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional moral thinking, reflecting the values of honesty and integrity, are not universal across all cultures, as previously suggested. So now I've just made a little example question for you, and it's just a 5-marker on this particular debate. So outline one course study that gives a situational explanation of behaviour. And I chose to do Cheney et al. For this because it just fits in well with the question, but you could do any of the previously mentioned studies, or perhaps even other studies from your knowledge. So, one course study that gives a situational explanation of behaviour is this study by Cheney et al. 2004 on the Funhaler. And notice how I just kind of repeated the question here. I think that's always a good way to start, because it just leads you into the answer. This is because this study demonstrates that it is the features of the inhaler which influence the frequency and success of its use. If the only thing changing within the research is the type of inhaler, and the resultant behaviour is significantly different, the situation must be deemed to have an impact on the behaviour. For example, the use of the incentive module on the Funhaler, which reinforces behaviour through operant conditioning, meant that the percentage of parents always successfully medicating their children rose from 10% when using the standard inhaler to 73% when using the Funhaler. Therefore, this shows how the situation, i.e. the type of inhaler used, can influence behaviour, which in this case is medical adherence. But yeah, so this is a good example because it just allows you to put in some quantitative data, such as the percentage of parents always successfully medicating their children rose from 10% to 73%. So always put in examples like that because it just helps support your answer. And yeah, just use point, evidence, and explain. And here is one more example question for you, and this is basically the same question but for the individual explanation of behaviour. One core study that gives an individual explanation of behaviour is the study by Baron-Cohen 1997 on adults with autism. This is because Baron-Cohen et al.'s study suggested that it was their autism that caused the adults with autism to experience difficulties reading the mental states of others on the ICE task. For example, the 16 people who had high-functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome in the study achieved a mean score of 16.3 out of 25 on the ICE task, compared to 20.3 for the normal condition and 20.4 for the Tourette syndrome condition. Therefore, this offers an individual explanation of the difficulties with social skills that people with autism experience, as their behaviour, i.e. their deficit in their theory of mind, can be said to be the result of individual characteristics, for example having autism. So that's just a quick overview of that debate in just under 10 minutes, and I hope you made some notes on it. I apologise if I read it a bit quick, but yeah. Thank you for watching.